Welcome back to the Business Planning Binge Weekend preparation. This is the sessions where there's two sessions in this learning segment. We're going to talk about your business model, specifically the viability of your business model. So let's dive into part one here. So are you even set up for success? You'll understand what I mean in a second, that if you aren't, because if your business structure of how you conduct business is not set up properly, you can't work hard enough to make a go of it. And that'll make sense in a second. This condensed lesson is an excerpt from chapter 3. So with all of these lessons that you're going to have in the Business Planning Binge Weekend, there's expanded lessons in the Small Business Academy in Module 1. So if you want to dive deeper, all of that information, all those lessons, the entirety of the textbook is made available to you by enrolling in the Business Planning Binge Weekend. Because again, we're trying to do everything we can to help you be successful and guide you in that process. So if you're already in business, are you making the amount of money you want to make? You know, hopefully you are, but maybe you're not. If you're starting a business, how much money do you want to make? Take a second right now, just whatever piece of paper you got in front of you, write the number down. We're going to use this later in the course, in the weekend, to refer to see if the way that you figured out your business plan and business model gets you where you're trying to be, at least from an economic standpoint. So all successful businesses require this. Please pay attention, focus your attention on the screen. I want you to get this graphic burned into your head. Okay? For you to have a viable business model, you've got to create value and then capture value, and that's what equals a viable business model. If you don't do both of these, this can't happen. Again, I don't care how hard you work, if you're not doing these two things, it's impossible. So our first example is going to be for Patty. Okay? Patty has a service-based business, and then in our second example, we'll talk about a manufacturing business for a gentleman named James. Both these are real-life business models. These are real people that I've met with. Now, Patty has a very upbeat personality. She's liked by everyone that she meets. She's married with a spouse that works full-time, and she has two small children, ages 6 and 8. So I want you to understand who Patty is, what she's trying to accomplish with her business. So she has worked part-time, 15 to 20 hours per week, since the birth of her first child. The difficulty has always been scheduling. Between the kids, her schedule, her husband's schedule, him working full-time, her working part-time, it's just been difficult. So she wants to have a small business of her own, and she feels that that will allow her to control her schedule and make more money than typical part-time pay. Makes sense, right? She can devote about 30 hours per week to in its entirety of running her business. So she also needs low startup costs. She's not sitting on a big pile of money that she can throw at creating a business, and she wants to get up and running quickly. So she decided on providing personal assistant services, specifically for successful women. And so she launches Patty's Helping Hands. That's not the real name of the business, so don't try Googling it and finding out who she is. I changed the name. So she made the common and fatal error of no business plan, not even a business model sketch. So it wasn't working. Now what she does consider, though, is what type of customer persona she is going to market to. So what a customer persona is, and this is something that is helpful for you to work through, is the description of a prospective customer. What's your customer, what are they going to look like? Okay, I don't mean physically look like, but what are their characteristics? So it's used to envision a prospective customer and develop the marketing plan that you're going to build around them. How are you going to know how to develop a plan and deliver a message and craft a message if you don't know who you're trying to deliver that message to? That's the purpose of a customer persona. So she comes up with a customer persona named Nicole, and Nicole is a professional woman who's experiencing success, frankly experiencing very good success. Nicole is working 50 to 60 hours per week, and she ends up emailing late at night and weekends just to keep up. She constantly feels like she's about to fall behind with everything. She also has a child in grade school who was involved in after school activities. This ends up leaving Nicole like family time suffers, and she's just not doing, she's not devoting as much time to helping her family as she would like to. And another hour or two a day is all Nicole feels she needs to kind of change this around and feel like she's got some peace and sanity in her life, and that, you know, she's devoting the time to her family that she wants to. So what Patty does is launches a company called Patty's Helping Hands. Like I said, this is a real life scenario. So Patty's charging $15 per hour at the time, which is better than her part-time wage. Her part-time wage was usually between $8 and $12 an hour. Okay. So she now has a flexible schedule, or at least we get the perception of a flexible schedule when we have our own business. And she's figuring she needs 5 to 7 clients at a time. So what Patty would do is she would run errands, complete tasks, and just help in any way that she could for the people that were hiring her. Okay, but she didn't have contracts. It was very sporadic. It was hit or miss. So, but she's working lots of hours. Because she's trying to coordinate things, schedule things, and she's just not making enough money. But she's busy. There's a lot she has to get done. So let's take a look at this business model that she has created in a chart format. It'll help you get your arms around this. So she's working 35 hours per week, and notice this distinction though. A lot of times as small business owners, the amount of time we're working versus what we can charge for is very different. So of that 35 hours a week, she's only billing for 20 hours a week at the $15 an hour rate that we discussed. So that means if you take the $15 an hour times the 20 hours, that gives you $300 per week. Now, most people, I get that there's 52 calendar weeks in a year, but a lot of times as a small business owner, you might only, if you don't have seasonal work, now if you've got seasonal work, that's a whole different formula. But if you have year-round work, you're probably only going to be working 48 weeks out of the year. Now, maybe 50, whatever, but for the sake of argument, let's say that she's got a couple weeks of vacation, she's got a couple weeks that through the course of the year that she's sick, kids are sick, something where she's not able to generate revenue. So if you look at this, there's 48 weeks times the 300, that equals gross revenue of $14,400. So you think, well, that's not so bad. You know, it's part-time income. Then don't forget to take taxes out. As a small business owner, it can be significantly more, but you've got to assume that at least 20% of your gross revenue is going to go to taxes in some way, shape, or form. So we take out the $2,880, leaving a net income, because I'm trying to give you kind of the correlation to take-home pay, that if you're working for somebody else, that net amount of your paycheck. So this isn't a genuine apples to apples, but it's not far from it. So she's got the take-home pay of $11,520, which means her net hourly take-home pay is $6.86. That's less than minimum wage. Better off working for somebody else at that point. This is what business owners do not do. They don't run this set of numbers to say, how much am I working? How much am I bringing in? How much do I get to keep? And what's that mean in an hourly wage? So look at it. So she can't work hard enough for this to make financial sense for her. You're better off working for somebody else. So let's take a look at this. And I know this is a little bit of an immodest statement up here, flawed to awed, but when I run these calculations for people, they actually are in awe, just that they're more in awe of how they could have not seen it. Okay? Because once you see this laid out on paper, you go, this is pretty simple. And it is simple, but if we don't know it, we don't know it. For the longest time, the majority, for a couple decades, I didn't know how to run calculations like this. That's why we're sharing them with you. So with her new business model, we just want 4 customers at a time, but these customers are going to sign a contract for the amount of hours per week, and at minimum, the contract's going to be for a 3-month period. So she's going to have 4 customers. She's going to target to have 3 of them 5 hours per week and 1 at 10 hours per week, with then they're going to be at the rate of $35 or $30. Because the people that sign a contract for more hours per week, she's going to give a better hourly rate to. And then here's what this equals up, the weekly revenue. So we get to a total with just 4 customers. 4 customers gets her $825 per week, and that's being able to bill 25 hours per week. Now, she's probably still going to work in the big picture 30 hours per week, because when you set it up to where you're organized this way, you don't have to spend as much time on the things that you can't bill for. So again, she's going to be working 48 weeks out of the year. That gives gross revenue of $39,600 for a part-time job. That's good full-time pay for a lot of people, okay? And then don't forget to take out the taxes. So her pay went from $11,520 a year to $31,680. That's a pretty good change. So let's calculate the weekly take-home pay, which is $660 per week, and you divide that by the 30 hours. Her hourly wage is now $22 an hour. That's over triple what she was making before. It's a huge difference in somebody's life just by them taking the time to analyze their business model, figure out how they can best help people and structure their business so it works for the customer and works for you. Because if it doesn't work for both, it's unsustainable. So she ends up telling me, she says, Dwight, that's pretty good money. What if I did this full time? Because if I'm making this kind of money and I need to hire a babysitter a little bit for my for my children, then she probably could, because she's got a couple kids. Okay? And so what we looked at here, so okay, let's just still keep it to 4 customers, but maybe a little bit more hours per week. And so instead of billing for 25 hours a week, let's try and get it up to 35 hours per week instead of 25. So instead of having 5, 5, and 5, what if we did 5, 5, 10, and then 15 hours per week? Then what's that add up to? And the rates here, so again, the 5 hours per week person is at the 40, and then 35, and then 30. So look at this here. The take-home pay now went from $31,680 to $46,080. That's some darn good money right there, okay, for being an assistant. And her hourly wage even went up. So you can see how taking some time to analyze and then correct if you need to what your business model is can drastically change the amount of money that you end up making. Now, I've had some people say, Dwight, she's never going to find customers like this. Well, here's my argument back to you. She absolutely can. No matter the vast, vast, vast majority of people in this country live somewhere that if they took and put a compass where they live and did a 10-mile radius around them, so you're still keeping people live relatively close to you. There's not a lot of travel time if you need to do the assistant work at their house, that there are probably dozens, if not hundreds. If you're in an urban area, in a city, a major city, there might be hundreds of highly successful businesswomen that are making well into 6 figures, that are very stressed at their jobs and would love to have somebody that could help them out an hour or 2 per day, or however you cluster that time during the course of a week, so that they could have some peace and sanity in their life. And them paying $200 to $450 per week, they would be happy to do that if they had somebody that they knew that they could trust and was reliable and going to do the things that they needed to be helpful to them. So set yourself up for success, please. And then, like we said, you can't work at $6.86. You can't work $6.86 an hour. You can't work hard enough to make that business model go. Okay, so we're going to stop this segment, and then the next segment will be the business model number 2, which is for a small manufacturer. It's a 1-person show, and we figured out a way to make a good go of their business for them.